So there's two reasons that people use curved monitors. I'm gonna explain them both to you in under 45 seconds. Reason number one is to reduce the strain of your eyes and neck having to look left and right. You'll see with our monitor flat, it's around 27 centimeters wide in this example. So to see the far edges of the monitor, we have to turn our heads or eyes either this far or this far. But if we curve that monitor, the same screen real estate, but it's only 18 centimeters wide. We now only have to turn our eyes this far and this far. The other reason is picture distortion. We're gonna use an extreme example here. Imagine in this case the monitor is 1 mile wide. Now, if there were two people on the monitor screen, one here and one directly in front of you, this one would look huge, while this one over here would look really, really small. You almost wouldn't be able to see it because it's so far away. Where if we curved the monitor, the distance between you and that object on the screen is now gonna be much less, therefore it'll look bigger. And just more true to size what it should actually be compared to how you're seeing it. This example is super extreme, but it helps you get the idea. Now, when it comes down to smaller monitors like 30 inches, these benefits are negligible and it really just comes down to preference, but that's why they exist in theory. Hope that helps. It's been 3 weeks since I bought this questionably cheap 34-inch ultra-wide monitor from Amazon, and I've been testing it extensively. Here's my thoughts. And at the end, I'll compare it to a similar spec but much more expensive model from Samsung. If you didn't see my unboxing video on it, the specs in this thing are absolutely insane. You're getting a 1 millisecond response time as well as a 165 hertz refresh rate. This makes it incredible for gaming. And of course, the 34-inch curved panel, this thing is absolutely gorgeous. These are sold under a few different brand names, but they're all the same panel from China. I'm gonna cut right to the chase. This thing is incredible. It's absolutely insane value. The 1 millisecond response time and 165 hertz refresh rate are real. I only had a 5 millisecond response time on my monitor before, and it's night and day for gaming, especially if you're playing more responsive stuff. If you need a new monitor and you like the ultra-wide form factor, I definitely recommend this thing for the price, but there is 3 things to consider. 1, it doesn't have built-in speakers. This isn't a big deal for most people, but I thought I'd mention it because most bigger monitors do. 2, the on-screen menu is absolutely terrible and a nightmare to navigate. If you adjust the settings on your monitor, like brightness and all that sort of stuff regularly, this could be a deal breaker for you. And lastly, although the picture does look incredible, I've noticed that the blacks aren't as deep as I've seen on other monitors. So because of that, I went ahead and bought the Samsung G5 Odyssey that pretty much has identical specs to this one, but is literally double the price. And I wanted to compare how the pictures look. Let's get this out of the box. First glance, they look near identical. Let's get these both set up to compare them side by side. All right, so we've got Samsung here on the right, and then our cheap Chinese model on the left. Now, I will say the deepness of the blacks is definitely a big standout difference. These are showing the same image. I'm sure you could even see here over the camera. This one just looks a lot more dark, while this one has a lot more light colors in it for the desktop image. Don't mind the fingerprints, but I've pulled up just an entirely black screen. A little bit harder to tell here, but you can see that the backlight is bleeding through a little bit more on the cheaper monitor, where on the Samsung it is just a flat black. Okay, so I've just spent about an hour messing around on both these, played a few games, watched a few videos. The blacks are definitely deeper on the Samsung, but otherwise the picture is pretty much near identical quality. It's equally as crisp, which makes sense because they're the same resolution. The Samsung does also have a much better on-screen display, but they're otherwise near identical. For the sheer price performance, I definitely still recommend the cheaper 34-inch ultra-wide curved monitor. Just realize that the few downfalls you are getting for that price, and if you want the absolute crispest possible picture, you might want to go with something a little bit high-end, like the Samsung G5. I'm going to test this a little bit further. I'll have both of these linked in my bio if you want to check them out for yourselves. Hope that was helpful. I'm going to do a little bit more testing, and I'll catch you in the next video.